Welcome back to Partum the Mess, a podcast about humorous, inspirational, and educational experiences presented by first-time moms trying to navigate parenthood while keeping our sanity. I'm your host, Brittany, and we have our co-hosts, Jessica.
Hello.
And Cody.
Howdy.
This is episode 5, and today we'll catch up with you, and then we'll talk about what's appropriate to say to a pregnant woman or a woman who just had a child. So, what's going on, guys? Who wants to go first?
Hey, I'll go first. So, just today, I got caught off guard. Emmett got another tooth, and it's the vampire tooth.
Those are so cute.
They're
so
two.
Cute. I mean, the one might be like...
No, it's still so cute. But I was not prepared. I was looking for his upper ones, and then he was nursing, and I was like, oh, what is in your mouth? Because there's something scratched me, and it's not coming from the bottom. And it was a tooth. That's what was in his mouth.
How many teeth does he have with this one?
Three total.
And his other two are on the bottom? Or
Yep, other two are in the bottom.
Oh, how cute is
tooth.
that? The front tooth on the bottom, and then like one on his tooth. Oh.
I know. It's so cute. And then also he's figured out how to get into the toilet. So
Nice.
Yes. Okay. So we just put locks. I mean, or we're going to put a lock on our bottom one because Buddy has for a little while, and we had a lock upstairs. But today I saw him straight up just holding the toilet lid up and swinging his hand in there. Like, normally they would like do that if the lid was up. But so my point is that it will have locks for him to not get in there.
That reminds me of Baby Mama, the movie Baby Mama. When
when
she
can't
get
like,
the toilet, so she
pile,
pees in the sink. I hate baby locks so much.
You hate baby locks?
Yes.
We
They
do baby
are.
locks
They're
for
hard.
like chemicals.
Yeah.
Stuff that, but they are
I mean,
hard.
they're necessary.
Actually,
you got to use
we
them.
baby
But...
lock a lot, but it's not for Emmett. It's for my niece. We'll tell that story another time.
That's awesome. We had a good night last night. Jamie slept for 6.5 hours.
Woo! Woo!
I did a happy dance. I know. So I did a happy dance. I was so happy. And I think the reason why he slept so long was because we went over to your house for that.
Yeah.
Like a stimulation?
Yeah, I think the stimulation, and like he was really overwhelmed when we first got there. It was his first time actually going out and like interacting with people, especially other kids. Like we had adults around when he was first born, but he was like sleeping all the time. So I don't think he really got, it didn't affect him. So when we first got there, I could tell on his face that he was really overwhelmed.
What?
It was like a lot of noise. And then I like handed him to you to do something.
Yeah.
And he was like, what
He
is
was okay for a
happening?
while.
Yeah.
And then he was done.
Yeah.
He's
For a
like,
few minutes, I
"Shut
think
up."
he just like needed to figure out what's going on. But I don't know. Even though he slept most of the time we were there, I could definitely tell that it stimulated him, and he was really sleepy. He took good naps for the rest of the day, and then he slept for a really long time at night. So that's what I'm learning now that he's getting a little bit older. I'm working with him more with tummy time and toys and going outside once a day at least. So I was worried about his eyes. Like I realized like we're not really going outside, and the sun is probably really bright. Like,
he's
the
not
development
adjusted
of
to
the
it.
eyes, like he needs to go outside. So we started doing that a couple
They all,
of
like,
a week ago or so. Yeah, he's like all squint.
Like a vampire.
He puts his face in my arm, like
That's so cute.
but yeah, so I'm trying to do more of that stimulation during the day so I can get some sleep at night.
Yeah, I feel like Emmett was just generally happier and still now, if we don't have anything planned for the day, he struggles. Like he is he does so much better with stimulation. So
it's hard to do though, like
is.
because he's not interested in toys really. Like
It'll
he's not reaching for them.
better,
So I'm
I
like
think.
shaking this thing in front of his face.
Yeah, I
I'm,
know.
like, not doing anything at all. But I'm just trying to move him around. Like he likes being on his changing table. He likes being on the bathroom floor, like on our bath mat.
Oh, cool.
So, I'll go in there. I'll just put him down on that for a few minutes. And then we'll go down into the, like, on the downstairs, the kitchen floor. I'll put a blanket down or something just to give him different things to look at.
Yeah.
How do your dogs do with avoiding running over him?
They're okay. They forget sometimes, I think. When they know he's there, they're really careful and they don't really step on him. But if I have him like on the bed and they're jumping from the floor up to the bed, like they can't obviously see where he is on top, right? So they just kind of jump. And Evie stepped on him today. She's she's my standard poodle. So thankfully she's not too heavy, and he didn't even cry. I didn't faze him at all, but I got real mad.
He was made for this family.
I was like Mama Bear, like, oh
yeah. Oh yeah.
So recently I've been spending some time with girlfriends opposed to boyfriends, I guess. Emphasize that weird. Anyway, and I've been feeling all like empowered and great, and then I like get dressed and feel nice, and then I don't feel nice when I look in the mirror, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of sucky. Like, I don't know. I'm at a place like postpartum where it's been. So what I'm about to say has nothing to do with other people's, like, I don't feel opinions projected on me. This is all just me. So for you listeners, I'm not making any statements about women generally. This is just me. So like after I delivered, people would like make comments, which more to come on that, and I would like either agree or disagree with what they're saying because I knew myself what actions I was taking or what I was eating or whatever. Well, now that they're over a year, I mean, despite the fact that I don't have a lot of time to do like formal exercises, I know in my heart of hearts like what I'm eating, right? And so I was thinking like maybe you should take a look at like what you're eating kind of seriously. Like people throw around this word like macros all the time. I don't know, it just sounds like hamburgers or something.
Like hamburgers,
like Big Macs maybe, I don't know.
Okay,
but I just am like I don't know. And to be honest, I don't care about like trends like that. But I've had times in my life where when I buckled down and I paid attention, not like a diet, but I like monitored what I'm eating more, it paid off and I felt better about myself. But the problem is I don't really want to do that. Like hardcore.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that, right? Like I don't want to discipline myself. I don't want to not eat something. I already have like certain rules in place for myself, like certain times of day, not certain times of day, sorry. Like after a certain time of day, then I tell myself you're not allowed to eat kind of like junk food or whatever, like have raisins instead of chips or whatever if you want to eat after that time. And that's fine, but during the day it's like a free for all. And so again, like this isn't like a reflection or what I think everybody should do, but it's hard for me to set boundaries for myself. And I don't know, it's just like a really real position, to be like, well, I shouldn't use this word, but like I hate my body, which I don't, but I really don't like where it's at. We'll put it that way. Like I strongly don't like where it's at, but then I'm not willing to do it. So it's like, well, which is more uncomfortable, And I think it's because I have a tendency to not like doing things that are hard if I don't know if they'll pay off, which doesn't everybody feel that way? Like I feel like that's like
I need a guarantee. If I put this much effort in, I'm going to lose this much weight.
Right. And I would think, oh, well, last time you did whatever, you had this result, but my body's different now. Like it's like I traded it in for a different version.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So
like it's different.
Yeah, exactly.
My body will always. I'm not speaking. I don't know. Your body may not be that different, but my body will always, forever, be different than it was before I had children. My hips are wider. They will always be wider. I never had wide hips. Now I have wide hips, which gave me a waist, and I'm not used to having a waist because I was always kind of like a stick, and my stomach is shaped different, and it's just everything is different. That's how it works. I think to help me, I think it would be healthier mentally for me to not think about the past programs or whatever that I did. And or rather trying to reassure myself because I've had success with other programs, but rather like trying something new and then being okay and applauding myself for the effort that I'm making. A few months or weeks, I think it would have been a few weeks ago, Cody and I did a live on Instagram talking about movement, and like those things that we said were just as much for me. And I'm hoping that we can post it somewhere. Yeah. So you can see. We'll see if we can. Maybe in the show. I think just it's a really good reminder to adapt or try to adapt with like your new, I don't want to say new body, but that is like your new self. Yeah, really, I think that's okay to say. I don't know about you, but I feel like I teeter a lot. I go from feeling very much like I grew a baby and I'm awesome and this is where I'm at in life and I need to celebrate my body, to feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't like the way I look. I don't like this body. I want to have this, like, I want to have a skinny, muscular, toned body. I don't, this isn't ideal for me.
Right.
And teetering from that. And I don't know if that's unhealthy or not, but it's what happens. It's
Right.
what really happens with me. And confession time. I've found myself more recently, I'll go to places, and when my son, well, somehow it'll come up and I'll say, I've just had a baby. And they'll say, wow, you look so good. You don't look like you've just had a baby. I'm like, oh, thank you. And then they'll ask, how old's your baby? And I'll be like, 10 months old. And I can just tell they're like,
quote unquote,
yes. And it's, I don't know why I do it. It's like, I don't know how long it's appropriate to say you just had a baby, but I feel like I just had a baby. And it's really nice when people, and so maybe it's a thing where people shouldn't say that. Like,
Shouldn't say what? I just had a baby?
You look so
Oh,
good.
right,
For
right.
just having it. Like, you look so good. Like, I didn't look good right after. Like, I looked pregnant for probably 3 months after I had my baby. I just still looked pregnant. And I don't understand how there are women who don't look pregnant right after they have a baby. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't know, but it was not me, and I wanted that, and so I felt like I was kind of like clinging to it.
Yeah, it was hard for me because I've been overweight my whole life, and the last couple of years found a new doctor and really buckled down and like diet, exercise, the works. Ended up losing 90 pounds and got pregnant. Like, I mean, the goal of losing weight was we wanted to have kids, and I knew that was getting in the way. More of that in my story episode, I'm sure. But yeah, ended up getting pregnant, and I was like feeling great, got rid of all of my clothes, like got all new clothes and whatever. And then gained a ton of it back in the pregnancy. Like, nothing I could do about it. I was trying to eat healthy and, whatever, but you're pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you eat what you can eat. So, yeah, it's been really discouraging, I think. But at the same time, just trying to remember the main reason why I lost the weight was to get pregnant and have a baby. And I did. And that was success. So I have to like give myself that little bit of, I don't know, praise or whatever. And like, I can do it again. I did it once. I can do it again. It's just kind of like discouraging to look at that and be like, yeah, I really wish I didn't get rid of all those clothes because they come in handy right now.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this is a good time to transition to things to say or not to say.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to do kind of a game. I hesitate to call it that because I don't know if that's really what to call it.
It's a game.
Kind of a game, yeah. Where we're going to video what we're doing for a few minutes of this part. And so we're going to say some things and then give our vote about if it's okay or not okay. And we've got little signs that we're going to hold up. So if there's a pause, it's not your audio cutting out. It's just us evaluating or talking about whatever.
And we've talked about some of these things just in conversation before, and we do have differing opinions between the three of us.
Specifically me.
What's
specifically
okay, what's
Cody.
not okay. Yeah.
I have different opinions. There has to be at least one other person out there that feels like me. So.
Oh, I thought you meant one person of us. I'm like, sure, yeah.
Whatever.
I have to bring in like the wild card.
I feel outnumbered.
So we're going to talk about some things that people have voiced are okay or not okay to say to a woman who is pregnant or a new mom. And a lot of them we got from a BuzzFeed article. Okay, Cody is going to go first.
Okay, so the first one that I have is, do you want a boy or a girl? Is it okay to ask a pregnant woman, do you want a boy or a girl?
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, different opinions. I know it.
Okay, why do you think it's okay, Cody?
Um,
Just so Cody's okay, Brittany and I are not okay.
Yes, I'm okay with it. I want to hear why you guys think it's not okay, actually. Why do you think it's not okay? And then
I feel like if I had said my pregnancy that I wanted a girl, that I would have, like, I felt bad for my son. Like, I would have felt bad, like, oh, never mind, it's a boy, but we really wanted a girl. Like, And especially for us, because we tried forever. You know, like, when people ask me that question, I was just like, I just want a baby. I don't care
Healthy
either
baby.
way. Like, and I thought I wanted a girl in the beginning, and my husband really wanted a girl. He had not in his mind. He just had no, like, we were having a girl. That was just in his mind. And now that he's here, it's like, it's perfect that he's a boy. I mean, for the both of us, it's perfect. And it was the way that it was supposed to be. Sure. So I just felt like I don't have a call in that, you know, like I can't choose which one it is. So I didn't want to, I don't know, place bets or whatever it was.
Yeah. I didn't feel like it. I guess I'd say I don't feel like it's a polite thing. Maybe it's not inappropriate as much as it's not really polite. And I feel like a lot of it's like a mental thing. Like, because you're already, mothers rather that are pregnant are already anxious about different things. And so kind of like you were describing, I didn't want to be like, oh, I hope it's this. And then if it's not, then I'm all like spun out or whatever. And then also because, like you said, you don't have any say in it. And so I just feel like it kind of sets up for disappointment. Granted, that's because I was kind of insecure about a lot of things in my pregnancy. If somebody's like okay with either one, then I feel like it's pointless. So that's the other side.
Do you feel like it would be different with, and this is a question that maybe we can talk about with some other ones as well, is it different with strangers versus family? Or is it never okay? Like, not a question that people should ask in your mind?
I'd say never.
Yeah,
never.
I was not, I mean, was perfectly fine if people asked me what I was having. Like, after I knew, I was happy to talk about it and tell people, but I don't really want to say what I wanted.
Okay. I just feel like it's fun to discuss the upsides and downsides to both, maybe. And maybe people do. And I also feel like with questions, if people are coming specifically with me, and this will come up again, I know, in this conversation, if people are coming to me with love and just curiosity and they're asking questions, I feel like I want to welcome that. I don't want to like shut them down and be like, how could you ask me about
I can feel like
gender,
they failed.
like what gender I want. And if there's something I don't feel comfortable about, I'll say, you know, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. And then we won't talk about it. But I liked talking about, because I wanted a girl. And I was like, you know what? I want a girl. I want to dress a girl up in little cute clothes. But I feel like it's a boy. And they were always like, oh, yeah. Like, oh, cool insight. Yeah, I know.
I'm sure there was some, like, underlying, like, I don't want to be wrong either. You know? Like,
maybe that's,
like, I don't want to say, oh, I want a girl. And then find out that it's a boy and everyone be like, oh, I'm so sorry for you. Or like, I'm disappointed. Or like, you know, you guessed wrong, haha, you're stupid. I mean, whatever kind of emotions can come with that. I think there was part of that too. So. Yeah,
and I think, of course, now that I have my boy, I want all boys. Like,
boys are great.
Yes, boys are great. Not to any girl moms. I'm sure girls are great too, but I know my boy.
Swiss is great.
Yes, and he is a little mama's boy, and I love it, and he'll know that I love him. But I think maybe it'll be funny for him to look back and be like, you wanted a girl? Like, you wanted a girl, Mom? And maybe I'll have a girl and then it will all be different. But I don't know. I hope that, I don't know, maybe, and this is just like thinking, maybe the problem is not the question, but maybe it's the stigma set up with the question. Maybe it's people's responses to when you find out your baby. Like, it's not an innocent conversation. It's not just trying to learn about someone, but instead it's like, how can I judge you?
Yeah.
And that's the hard part.
I like what you're saying, like, well, what does it turn into once you found out what your gender is?
Yeah.
Or the gender is, not your gender, but anyway, but that, you know, like, so then do people feel sorry for you? Is it awkward? Is it like gender reveal party says it's a boy and you had told every single person, like,
it better be a girl?
Yeah, it better be a girl. Exactly. Then like everyone's like, ugh. And it's not a happy thing anymore. Or what if you waited till delivery and you found out, and then you're in the hospital
and you're disappointed?
Yeah, exactly. Or, you know, whatever level, maybe you're actually okay with it. You decided you're okay, but everyone's like, I'm so sorry. Like, you want to hear that the day you're delivering, you know?
Yeah.
So,
but also, and I'm just thinking, I don't know, to be transparent, I was a little disappointed, and those that I loved knew that I wanted a girl. And so they could be there as a comfort and also not be like, are you so happy? And I would be like, yeah, I'm so happy. Like, I love boys, you know? And then I kind of grew into it, and they grew with me, and I could be transparent and honest. And so I don't know. Maybe I just had a good experience with that, and that's why.
And I think that is good. I think you make a good point about like maybe part of the issue is people being a little less judgmental, or if they're not realizing they're judgmental, like having a little bit of introspection on the other side as well. Which I think a lot of these questions are that. Like maybe there's nothing wrong particularly with the question as much as like, why are you asking?
The intentions.
Yeah.
The main question.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you want to do yours next?
Yeah. So my first one is, do you want another one, or how many kids do you want? Either
I'm sorry, I went too soon. But I'll just tell you what I feel.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
I'm the odd one again. I'm the
All right,
odd
yeah,
one again.
Brittany and I, not okay.
Yeah.
Cody says it's okay.
What was the first part of your question? Do you want another one?
Do you want another one?
Yeah.
And asked at any point in time. Like I had that asked of me when I was pregnant.
Mm.
And it's kind of like, I am pregnant currently. Like, why are you asking me if I want another one? But for me in particular, the only reason why I didn't like that question was because after 10 years of infertility, getting pregnant with the one is a miracle. And like, even when my doctor would talk to me about like birth control or whatever after we have the baby and whatever, I'm just like, well, we want more kids. I want to have as many kids as we possibly can because I'm already almost 34 and took me 10 years to get this one. So like, if we can have another one, that's great. But like, I just felt weird being like, yeah, I want 3 kids. I mean, like I learned not to do that a long time ago when we started the whole infertility journey. It was like, that was totally off the table for me to just be like, yeah, I want 3 kids and TJ wants 2 and whatever, like that's just totally gone. So when people ask me that, like, being pregnant and whatever, it was kind of always like, well, I'll just take what I can get. End of story.
I had a thought kind of along with our last question, but with this one, it's like especially a stranger it's asking you to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Like, where do they get the gall to think that you maybe want to talk to them about whatever? Yeah. Like if somebody asked you, and I hope this isn't one of them your take, but if somebody asks you, are you trying? They're like, you're in the line at Costco and you're like, are you asking me, am I having sex with my spouse right now? Like,
trying how?
So
there's varying degrees
again, are
of
these
trying.
questions, so if you want more kids or how many kids you want to have, and are you trying, are those okay for close friends
I
and
think
family?
I was better with it when I was just having a conversation with someone and it came up.
Because I know I asked you.
I had a lot of strangers.
I asked you that.
Yeah. And I'm totally fine, like, just talking to friends about that. I think I was fine with that.
I asked you that too, Brittany.
But
Cody, get out of here.
I know. I asked you guys that. And so that's why I'm curious. Because I was so open with it. And I also found with the question, are you trying, with people I loved, I didn't know their struggle because they didn't feel comfortable about they didn't know that it was something they could talk about.
Right.
And so when I would ask, are you guys trying for a baby? Not, why aren't you pregnant? Let me be very clear. There's a huge difference between the statements in my mind. Are you trying for a baby? And why aren't you pregnant?
Right.
Or do you not want kids? Or you're getting old. The statements that are judgmental and the questions that come with love and sincerity, so different in my mind. So if you don't know the difference between those, really sit and do some like serious introspection and consider those things because they're so different. But I had friends that would open up and they'd say, yeah, we've been trying for a long time and we haven't been able to get pregnant, or yes, I had a miscarriage. And then I don't know if that was bad, but I didn't feel like I got bad responses and I don't know why. Like maybe it was the approach. And one time I did. One time I asked a friend if they were planning on having another baby, and she got offended and said, I actually had a miscarriage and I don't want to talk about it. And I said, I'm so sorry. That's totally fine. And for her, it wasn't good. And I learned that, but I feel like I've had more good experiences than bad.
You have a really good way of like asking people questions in a loving way because you're very sincere, and so I think people can see that.
Yeah. I had a client at my job that I quit last year that asked me that, and I was like, he may have been genuine, but our relationship didn't have that kind of. He was basically a stranger.
Yeah.
Like it's not appropriate in my mind, and because to me it's like going back to like, why are you asking kind of questions, like that kind of translates to me like too private, like what am I doing in the bedroom the thing. And so I definitely think like I don't feel offended or bothered as much with friends asking me questions because I believe it's in love. But I do think that if I had some family members ask me, I might feel like they're judging, which is too bad that sometimes that's the case.
Yeah.
Like your family kind of goes over the threshold like the other way. And it's like moving away from the loving median there.
Well, and we can have a totally another episode on what not to say to someone going through infertility.
Yeah.
But I had so many people over those 10 years ask us why we don't have kids, if we want to have kids, are we trying to have kids? And I believe their intention was good, but the intention was they wanted us to like be a part of their club, like their parent club.
Like
and
you were
like
choosing to stay out.
Yeah, like
you rebels.
like we, yeah, like we wouldn't understand their lifestyle until we had our own kids and we were friends, and so they wanted us to have kids to be a part of that, to understand their lifestyle.
Yeah.
And we had people tell us like, oh, it's so amazing, like, you know, it's the best thing you'll ever do, I love my kid. And it's like preaching to the choir here, you know,
like you need to be
but
convinced.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I totally, I'm 100% behind that. Like personally, when you're dealing with someone, if you don't know how to ask or what to ask or whatever, think about your intention. Like, what's the purpose of you asking? Do you really care about them? Do you want to know about their life? Or again, do you want to just like commiserate with them on something or have them be a part of your club?
Yeah,
right,
for sure.
right.
For sure. I was going to say really quick before we move on, it made me sad, and I don't know if this is a sad thing, but it made me sad when you said you couldn't say you want 3 kids and TJ wants 2 kids. Why not? Like, why did you have to stop dreaming? Just because of time?
It just hurts. It hurts. I'm trying to dream and plan, and you know,
I don't know.
it's rough. And so, yeah, we did it for a while, and then it was kind of just easier to just put it in God's hands and just say, if it happens, it happens. And however many, or if none, then none, you know, and it was a lot easier to live life that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wish that, and it's hard. Like I can't put myself in your shoes. There's no way I can feel what you're feeling, but I wish that you could still have that, you know, and not have to like let go of that dream, even if, I don't know, it's like friends I have that are single, and I don't want them to like not say they never want to get married or whatever it is, because that's their dream. Hold on to that. But again, it's just so different. It's something I can't empathize with, I think.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, so mine, I'm gonna wonder if I'm unique in my reasoning, not my response. But okay, so the question is, are you sure you're not carrying twins? So let's count. Yes, I'm Brittany. 1, 2, 3. Oh, look at that. Unanimous. Okay, so I'm going to share my reason if it's okay first. And then I want to hear yours because I suspect maybe part of it's different. So I did have twins, but I would often get people saying, I'm really hesitant to say because I don't want anybody that watches this or hears this to be offended for asking.
Learning experience.
Yes, that's what a lot of this is. But it's, I think, good to know how people feel with it. So anyway, and I probably said some of these things. I didn't ask this question ever in my life, but some of the other things I probably did. So I'm not without fault. But I felt like, well, people wouldn't say, are you sure they're twins to me? Because they were, but they would say, can you carry 2 in you? And I'd say, well, I don't know. God put them in, so I guess I'll make it possible. And I just always was like annoyed because it's one of those things that gets old. Like the first time it's not a problem. The first maybe 3 times it's not a problem. Or if somebody like you can tell they genuinely just like your grandma says it or something. You know, certain people I feel like whatever. But I didn't ever feel like anyone was like malicious with it. It just was annoying. I think that was it. And so I was like, okay, I didn't really know how to respond. And so I just like wouldn't sometimes. And then Phil would be like, you're just like literally saying nothing. I'm like, I just didn't know. And my hormones were like, screw them. You know, like, so that was annoying. But then also like, this is where I think I might be more unique. I don't know. Like I was all like, for years, I was like, I'm not even going to tell people I'm pregnant. I'm just going to have the baby. Like people are like, yeah, like you wouldn't look pregnant. And so I was like, I don't know. And I don't know now. I don't remember why I thought that. But like, I was all like, you guys probably have heard my story now. Yeah, I think so. I can't remember now what episode it was, but it's already happened. And so, like I didn't even tell my husband until I knew for 2 weeks. And so I don't know. I just feel like for me, if somebody said, "Are you sure it's not twins?" Oh, if my family said that to me before I told them it was twins, I would die because I couldn't like keep it a secret. I like felt like there was a coworker of mine who said, "Are you pregnant?" And I was like, like I didn't know how to answer, so I was just like, "We're not telling anybody." Like, I didn't know how to respond, and so instead I was just like, I'll just be upset, which isn't the right course of action. And I wasn't rude in particular. I think I was just like not polite. You know, I was just kind of like, well, you ruined the surprise. How do you like that? It's not real. Like, you know, I just feel like it's like I just felt like it was so hard for me to ruin something when potentially I could only have this once. Some people, right? Some people like never have it. And so I was like, this is my big moment. It's like somebody going and cutting your wedding cake for you or something. You know, like that's what I think it feels like for me. Let me surprise people how I want to surprise them. And if it like, are you sure it's not twins? And what about having triplets? Yeah, I'm sure. You know, like,
it is not twins. There's 3.
Yeah, I know. But what are your guys' reasons for not thinking it's okay?
I mean, my reasons is just size, and that may take a lot because there's a lot of different comments in the BuzzFeed article, and that people can say about size. And you probably experience this because you are small. You probably experienced a lot of people telling you how big you were.
I did, but then I also got people saying, like I said, like, how are you fitting 2 in there? You know, or they say the reverse.
You're
like you're hardly showing.
Yeah, like that. Like they're like, are there really 2 in there? I'm like, well, I hope so.
Yeah, doctor says they are. Yeah, and I had some experience. One of mine was, you don't even look pregnant. I had a not a doctor, but one of the nurses say, like, I couldn't even tell you were pregnant, and I'm like, is that supposed to be a compliment?
Not okay. Not okay.
Not cool. I am pregnant. I was like, I can't remember how far along I was, like probably 4 or 5 months at that time. Like even my coworkers didn't know for like the longest time. And even there was a guy who would come to our office every single week, and I would talk to him every week. And I was like 8 months pregnant and waddling towards him to get something from him. And he's like, oh, did you hurt your ankle? I'm like, no, that's my pregnant waddle. And he was like shocked, just by surprise, like had no clue.
When things like that happen, I mean, not that that particular scenario happens a lot, but I just mean, I'm like, I want to know so much about their life. Like, are you married? Do you have kids? Are you socially awkward? Like, why is this happening? It turns into like this case study. Like, it's almost like a murder mystery. I'm like, I don't get you. Yeah. Why would you do that? There must be something actually wrong with you. No offense to all those men.
I think they just are so afraid of offending. I think that asking if someone's pregnant when they're not pregnant is like so scary to everyone. Like it's just a situation you want to avoid, to the point where someone is clearly pregnant and they're just like, oh, I don't know, maybe it's a tumor. You know, who knows?
They'd rather err on the side of like, is your foot deformed?
Yeah, right.
Yes. And maybe that's why I have some differing opinions on these things, because I feel like I would rather have people ask me questions that I don't want to answer and not have them have a bad experience where they become fearful. And I just feel like, okay, I wanted to be pregnant my whole life. Like that was I was a person who, I don't want to. Okay.
Do you want to save her for postpartum?
No, I'll share it. So, when I was young, I would blow up balloons and put them under my shirt, and like you had to like tie them. So I'd use like a ankle wrap and like tie the balloon to my belly.
What's an ankle wrap?
Like a ace bandage.
Ace bandage.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Or saran wrap. And saran wrap the balloon to my, and I would go in public.
You're like sweating like a pregnant lady too.
Yes. I would get myself super sweaty, but I would like go to stores and then like. I just
How old were you? Like 12?
Probably.
They're like,
maybe like 15. Like, I don't know.
And people judge you harshly for being a teen mom.
I didn't even care. I just was like so stoked that I looked pregnant. And then I really got pregnant, and I saw all these things on the internet that people were like, oh, if one more person touches my stomach, I'm going to punch them in the face. And I was like, oh, this must happen a lot. And by a lot and no one, not even my family, not like close friends, no one touched my belly. And I felt like people were so scared to comment. And to me, I just thought, holy cow, we are, as a society, making pregnancy this like taboo, scary thing to talk about. And I would rather ask questions that people may not want to answer and show them that I love them and that I care about them and that I want to celebrate the good things and mourn with them in the bad things than be like, not messing with it. Like, not gonna do it. Not worth the trouble, because they are worth the trouble.
Right.
And that's just my opinion. And I didn't feel celebrated. I didn't feel loved. And I think it's because of fear that other people had.
Yeah. Well, you made a good point about this topic the other day about, like, you want to celebrate the life that you're creating. Maybe you made that point a second ago and I didn't catch it. But...
No. Yeah. Yeah. I just felt like it was this incredible thing that I was doing, and I wanted to celebrate it, and I wanted other people to celebrate it with me. And I didn't get that. I felt like I got gypped.
Instead of, like, avoiding it like it is a tumor, like some
Yes.
cancer, and we're like, we're just gonna pretend
Yes.
life's normal.
Yeah, like, people would walk by me and they'd, like, give me these looks like, what is she? Like, what's going on with you? And I'm like, oh, I'm pregnant. Like, ask me if I'm pregnant. Maybe I'm just fat, but ask me. And that'll be fine. And I'll tell you. But just ask me. Just talk to me. Don't look at me like I'm not a human being.
Because if you were just fat, then why should they look at you like that anyway, right?
Yeah. And I know this is so tricky, but for me personally, I would rather have someone ask me if I'm pregnant and not be pregnant, and then just say, no, I'm not pregnant. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Maybe you thought I looked
Just
pregnant.
the food,
Maybe you didn't. Yeah, like, maybe I ate too much that day. It is what it is, but I appreciate the effort towards humanity. I appreciate you reaching out and trying to start a conversation and because it takes vulnerability to reach out to people.
Sure.
I think, at least for me, like, there are times when I go into a conversation and I just think, I don't know how they're going to respond, but I love them and I want to reach out. Right. And then I do it, and then most of the time it's good and sometimes it's not, and I've had to just kind of, like, deal with that. But for all of you out there, a good rule of thumb that I go by, if you're asking a question and it's a question with love, ask the question and be okay with whatever response. If you're trying to make a statement about them, maybe keep that to yourself.
I like that you pointed out be okay with the response. Like, the person asking needs to know themselves well enough to know if they're okay with however the person's going to respond.
Yeah.
And not make themselves a victim if the person's not comfortable talking about it or whatever.
For sure. They don't owe you an explanation. They don't. If they don't want to talk about it, that should be okay. There are people who are comfortable talking about literally anything, and there are people who are not comfortable with talking about any topic too. You're going to find that.
And if you don't know what type of person they are, maybe you're not close enough to be asking.
Yeah.
If you
and that's a good point
don't
too.
know that.
That's why I wanted to know, like, is it different with strangers versus people you know? Because for a lot of these things, if a stranger came up to me, I might be like, I'm not going to tell you whether or not I'm circumcising my son. Like, I'm not doing that. But with family, I'm like, here, lay it all out. Here it is for you. And whether you like it or not, I don't care.
But that's a reflection of, like, your relationship with your family.
Yeah, because
exactly.
I'm with Brittany a little bit more, that I get more judgment from my family than from
it's people you trust. It's people you trust.
Right.
Yeah. People that you can tell.
And for people who are pregnant or aren't, I think graphic tees make really good statements. When I was pregnant, I saw a t-shirt that said, I'm not fat, I'm pregnant. And then in parentheses below said, and also fat. And I wanted that shirt so bad. I wanted that shirt so bad.
And it too for my next pregnancy. That's awesome.
It was awesome. So, and there's so many shirts out there that say, don't touch my belly, or yes, touch my belly, or whatever. Like, invest in graphic tees to communicate to the world, because they will be in your space. When you're pregnant, you are on display. Everyone thinks they can talk to you about it.
There are not shirts that say touch my belly because I looked.
You can make one.
Yeah.
I know. I thought about doing a custom one, and then I was like, I don't know.
I'm pregnant and tired. And
like, this is a lot of money.
Just make one that has, like, handprints, like, so they can, put, like, their hands on it.
Here.
Like, touch here.
Okay, places.
I am pregnant. Ask me questions.
This is a safe zone, and put a little box on.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So we're going to transition to what things we feel are okay to say to a pregnant mom or a new mom. I hate to say new mom because, you're still a mom when you're pregnant, but recently having delivered recent postpartum.
Postpartum.
Yes, exactly. You look beautiful. I feel like that's always a good thing to say to a woman, even if she doesn't believe you.
I don't know if there's ever a time where you can't say that.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
she can say all that she wants. I mean, not saying this is okay. Some women will definitely fight you on that and tell you other reasons that that's not true. But you're safe for saying that. That's on her. If she doesn't want to take it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, well, and we have an article where they listed a few things that we're kind of looking at and referencing. And I really liked, can I bring dinner over? Mm-hmm. And the reason why I liked that one is because it's not the generic, what can I do for you? Or what do you need? Because if someone asks me what I need, I'm a very independent person. And a lot of things with my childhood have caused me to just do a lot of things for myself. I don't ask for a lot of help. I don't ask for a lot of advice. And so when someone says, what do you need? I'm like, nothing. I'm good. I can handle it. Anything. I don't need anything. Yeah. Which I do need things. I mean, everyone needs things. But when someone says, can I bring you dinner? Or when can I bring you dinner? Which is even better. Then I'm like, it makes it easier for me to say yes to that, which it is super helpful. But I don't need people to bring me dinner because I can, order DoorDash or whatever if I can't cook myself. But yeah, I just appreciate that like call to action that like, I'm going to do this thing for you, whether you like it or not. So tell me when,
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, great. Thank you. I love you. You're awesome.
Yeah. Like I don't remember where I heard this. I think it may have been in church, but someone said giving specifics. Like I will do this for you at this time, so be prepared. That's because sometimes people don't know really what they need, and they don't want to. It goes back to being vulnerable. I think sometimes that's scary.
Yeah. I feel like I would like to give I guess a caveat for some people that feel safe knowing all the rules, so to speak. Try not to memorize these. These are just good ideas. You may get different responses that will make you feel like we were liars about these things. But again, the woman is going to respond how she responds. Yeah. That doesn't mean that every woman feels that way. And it doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. Of course, if you're saying she looks ugly, that's wrong. Yeah. But if you're saying something kind like this, then that's okay.
Yeah, I feel like we've given some good general don'ts. And if you're maybe like look at those as a good guideline, like, oh, don't comment on her shape or her size. Those are good don'ts. But otherwise, you can offend anyone. And it's better to reach out with love and get offended than not to reach out.
Right.
Or like get a bad response. Not get offended. Because that's a bad, but you know what I mean. So one that I always liked when people tell me my baby was cute. I always liked that. That's a good one. And then and this sounds so cliche, but asking someone how they're doing and then looking them in the eyes and paying attention to what they're saying. Yeah. Because most of the time people are going to say, oh, we're fine. And then if you wait and you give them some time, they're going to start talking, and they'll tell you really what's going on. And that was always so nice because I would have both. I'd have people come up and be like, how's it going? I'd be like, oh, fine. I'd be like, okay, moving on. And I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not fine. And then I would have people sit down and ask me how I was doing, and I'd say fine, and they'd say, oh, that's awesome, and kind of pause for a minute, and I could tell that, oh, you actually care, like you actually want to know how I'm doing. Okay, let's talk, let's chat, and it opened the door to a lot of good relationship development and having my needs be known.
Right.
Which is just what we keep repeating over and over is the intention of asking and actually caring. Yeah. I think a lot of, and I think Brittany and I have talked about this previously. I can't remember if it was with you too, Cody, but a lot of people ask about your pregnancy because they feel like they want to be involved in your life. Like I was saying, when you're pregnant, you're like on display. It's like a thing that people think that, oh, now you're public and I can just talk to you about this all the time. And the intention is that they just want to know, or they want to be involved, or they want to give you their opinion. And it's not like because they really care about you a lot of the time and like how you're doing. And yeah, I think people when they ask like, oh, how are you doing? How's the pregnancy coming or whatever, I think it just becomes a commonplace topic of conversation. Actually, TJ and I were just talking about this because he saw some guy who did an experiment where he just recorded people. He sat next to a fire and recorded people like coming up to the fire and like saying things. And he separated what they said by like men and women, like, oh, 33 women said this and only one man said it or whatever.
That's interesting.
And yeah, and it was just generic things like, wow, that's a good fire. Or like, oh, it's so hot. Or I should have brought marshmallows. Like just really generic things. And we were talking about how that is so common for so many things. And I think a lot of people just fall into that rut of like these things that it's like not okay to say. People just say them because they're like, that's the thing that pops in your head. Like, oh my gosh, you look so big. Like you're ready to pop any day now. You know, like those are just so generic. And it's, I think people, not okay. I think it's people trying to connect, but with just no thought and no real sincere intention.
Yeah.
And yeah, they have sincerity. If you really care and you really want to know and you really want to be connected to that person, like be connected, be it.
Genuine.
Be genuine. Don't just do whatever, you know, BuzzFeed says you can say to a pregnant woman.
Yes. Because we'll expound more in the postpartum, but even if BuzzFeed says it's okay, we might not agree.
Yes.
With that, we are going to wrap up this episode. And for our recipe today, I'm going to actually share how I like to hard boil eggs. And the reason I'm doing it is because I have had such a hard time. So I used to make slam and hard boiled eggs, and I don't even know how I did them. Like I just did them, and Phil was like, "I didn't even like eggs till I met you. Like how romantic is that?" That's like, oh,
that's true love.
Yeah, I know. He's like, he would brag to his family. He was like, she makes hard boiled eggs without a gray center, and it's not runny-ish in the middle. And I was like, brush my shoulder, right? And then I started failing, and of course, it felt like my identity. I was like, oh no. So I've been spending years.
I don't have hard boiled eggs. What do I have?
He's gonna leave you.
What else is there?
So I've been searching the high heavens for how to make hard-boiled eggs. No joke. And we have not had luck. Like when people are like, oh, I guarantee you this way will work. Alan Brown is like my cooking whatever. Who? God. Alan Brown.
Alton?
Alton.
Am I the last person on earth?
Don't know
literally.
I really don't. Alton Brown.
Wow.
Alton.
He is big into science, so he incorporates a lot of science into his cooking, which makes his cooking like quote unquote perfect.
Like Al Brown, the science
perfect
guy.
This is I feel like I've been under a rock.
Wow. Yeah, we got to.
What is he on? YouTube?
The Food Network. He's huge.
So like
he
a
has
big
books.
thing.
Yeah, he goes on
Does
tours.
he do Twitter?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet he does. And he's on Facebook. I think.
Facebook Live.
All right.
No,
well,
he does. I have his cheesecake. I do his cheesecake. It's amazing. Yeah.
We'll
anyway,
sort of.
We'll use it for another.
Maybe I'm a chef and I just haven't known this guy, and that's why I haven't been successful.
He calls himself a cook. I heard.
Oh,
because I'm a fan. I know
he's not
this.
a chef. He's not a chef. He cooks.
Is that we can talk later.
I know.
But there's obviously some stuff I need to learn.
Yeah, so he has this egg recipe. It doesn't work for me.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and it's like steaming them. And I was like, oh, wow. Anyway, so this egg recipe that I came up with, what I'm about to say is I adapted it from something else. So I invite you listeners that if you try this and it works for you, let me know. If you have one that you're just proud of as can be, send it our way, email it, send it over on Instagram. I'm still semi-open to trying them. I feel like I've been burned, no pun intended. So I don't know. But what I do is I put the eggs in. Oh, I should say, Alan did teach me that there are certain things that can make it better or worse, but I don't know how to find those out. So
room temperature eggs.
Well, that's true. That's true. But he talked about younger eggs or older eggs, and I don't know how to track that. I mean, I'm sure if you get like farm fresh eggs, that's different than blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So this is just coming from your average Jane that gets her eggs from any store, and they're probably not even going to all be the same size. So there's variation in it, but generally this is what has worked for me the last like 2 times.
That's enough.
Good science. Yeah. Anyway, so you put it in, like she said, it's best to room temperature eggs. Put them in room temperature, but I usually just do like lukewarm water, and then let it boil. Once it's boiling, I put a lid on it and I turn off the stove, but I do not move it from the burner. That's one difference. And then I let it, I guess, simmer, so to speak, sit there for like 8 or 9 minutes, and then I put them in a ice bath, and then I think was about between 5 and 8 minutes. I think I lost track of time, and so I don't know how big of a deal that is. But then if I want to eat my hard-boiled egg right away, I put it back in the water for 2 minutes, and then I crack it, and that helps it break apart a little easier.
That is exactly how I hard boil my eggs. Exactly. To the T. Except I have a little egg timer that actually goes in the water with the eggs, and it turns black. Like, it has lines on it that say, like, soft, medium, whatever.
I've seen
and
those.
it turns black, like, as it goes, so you can kind of boil it
That's
to whatever you
cool.
want. But
Yeah. So that's crazy
What?
to me that it's like exactly the same when I was like adapting all these ways that I can't, and I was like, so
should have just asked me.
all
Like,
this time.
all that work
I
you
know.
do.
You had the perfect-
They're not perfect every time. I gotta say, they boil perfect every time, but peeling them is the hardest.
That's
Yeah.
that's
the
been the
bane.
hardest. I can make it boil eggs, but peeling them is just always hit and miss.
That has been a bigger help. Like going back in the water, I had
Yeah,
a lot
having them
more
warmer
success. Yeah,
is good. If you try to do them like right out of the fridge.
Oh, I thought you
I
put
don't.
them back in cold water. You put
No,
them
no,
in
put
warm,
them back in
warm.
I put them back in the same water I did have them, and I put them. I actually turn on the boil again for a couple minutes. So
Yeah, if they're warm, they're
As
easier
a
to peel.
side note, don't microwave whole boiled eggs. They
you
explode.
mean microwave before they're cooked or after?
After.
Oh,
Cody's over here doing her own experiments in the kitchen.
What happens if I stick this? I just microwave everything
can you stick a peep and an egg in there at the same time?
and see which one.
With
Yeah.
the toothpicks
Yeah.
before us.
Maybe
And
we can show
for the-
pictures.
For those of us who don't have the time to boil our own eggs, Costco has some
Oh,
really
yes.
good boiled eggs. The organic boiled eggs.
Oh,
They
okay,
do
well.
taste good.
They do taste good.
Yeah. Be sure to catch our next episode where we will have Cody share her story. And please check us out at our website, partumthemess.com, and on Instagram and Twitter at partumthemess. So we want to thank you for listening.
Pardon the mess.
We're making memories.